Hello, our friends, Heart's Home family.
Hello there, Heart's Home family.
Thank you guys and Patreon family, as this will go up on Patreon too. So we have a message that came through from the guides when we were doing meditation and mantras earlier this morning. And I wanted to just share a few stories here so we could relate to it in the bigger scheme of things. You know, there is a quote in the Bible that says, you have to be born again to enter the kingdom of heaven, right? And the obvious thing to take from that anybody who is familiar with comparative religious studies is you would look at it like, well, reincarnation. Of course, we transmigrate and sometimes we reincarnate in similar circumstances, in different circumstances. It all depends on what the higher self wants to do. This is the case of somebody who, her name is Barbara Carlen, believes that she had a previous life as Anne Frank.
And what types of things make people believe that they had a past life as someone else? There are some very interesting parallels that we keep running into time after time when it comes to past lives and people having that feeling and that wow, aha moment, and even that connection with the person. And sometimes it might not be immediately evident until they do connect with that person. And that's possible in this time.
Yes, absolutely. So Barbara Carlin believes she was different as a child, didn't know why until she read the Diary of Anne Frank and realized she had lived as Anne Frank in a past life. Throughout history, many have questioned whether reincarnation can happen, either from generation to generation or across time. Swedish writer Barbara Carlin is one of those who believes it exists. Not only that, she has become an international sensation for believing she is the reincarnation of Anne Frank. Even more incredible is that a member of Anne Frank's family came forward and believes it too before he passed on. And you can see the photo here of Anne Frank. Now, many are familiar with this story, and I think of Anne Frank, and I've thought of Anne Frank originally in a different way. As an example, as somebody living through really, really hard circumstances, trying times, like the kind of times that we are delving into now, and being upbeat and trying to find the good in things, even in the darkest of times. That's what was coming to my mind, as she was always exuding optimism. And she died in March 1945, 9 years before Barbara Carlin was born. And she was born, Barbara Carlin, in Sweden in 1954, so same year as my sister. These circumstances and the time between lives, they obviously vary. Anne Frank, died at a very young age, and her diary was very well known as, she was again living the Holocaust, living the nightmare of war on your street, in your area, and every day just not knowing if you're going to go to sleep that night or if it's going to be the end. And so I just wanted to touch on this because reincarnation is actually, in my studies, I would say that reincarnation is really a central tenet of belief in most traditions. In fact, the only ones that wouldn't really, I would say, believe in reincarnation would be more your Abrahamic, more modern-day fundamentalist point of views. As in the esoteric side of things, in your mystery traditions, yes, reincarnation is again something that is kind of a gimme. It's just believed. And can we remember past lives? Well, that's the question. I think many of us, if not maybe most of us, do get glimpses at times. We just don't realize that's what we're seeing.
I fully believe that we can get glimpses of our past lives. You can do it through certain types of hypnosis. You can do it by sharpening your intuitive skills and learning how to tap into those past lives and record yourself and see what comes up from that. But mostly I would say to learn about yourself and what you have done in past lives is to simply listen to who you are now and get into that space where you know that your soul is coming from an authentic position in your soul spirit. When you're coming from an authentic position, then you're tapping into those memories of other reincarnations, and it gets really interesting if you are able to run across that person that you feel you're a reincarnation of, and then you start to go over the parallels and you look deeper into that. Now, it doesn't happen to everyone because it's not supposed to happen to everyone, but there are people out there who can do it. And I think there's a purpose behind that. Sometimes people need that, and sometimes people need to not have a clue so that everything they learn moving forward is brand new, so it's just definitely up to higher self whether you're able to tap into that or not.
Absolutely. And this boy, a 5-year-old boy, claims he was an African-American woman killed in the fire and reincarnated. Now, there you go. Because, coming in as the opposite gender, I said the opposite. Yeah, well, you guys know, you understand. And, in a very different circumstance, that would be something, of course, it could happen. It happens all the time. Now, this boy remembers he used to be a woman named Pam. He started talking about when he was 2 years old. The young boy's mother, Erica, said that her son began speaking of a woman named Pam from a young age, but the family didn't know anybody by the name. One day, Luke finally explained who Pam was. He turned to me and said, "Well, I was." Well, I used to be, but I died and went up to heaven. I saw God, and then eventually God pushed me back down, and I was a baby, and you named me Luke. There you go. We're going to have a interview tomorrow, actually, that we're doing, and then we're going to be sharing a video from somebody with an NDE and what they experienced on the other side. Again, it's gentle. For most of us, I would say the normal thing to experience is a gentle greeting on the other side. A warm, gentle greeting. Truly, if it's not that way, it's because the person has gone through trauma that's still sticking to them. And so sometimes it takes a little while to work ourselves through things if we've gone through really horrific trauma at the close of our life especially. But normally, it is a very gentle awakening, and you're greeted by whoever is going to make you very comfortable, and we'll get into that in the forthcoming video. In fact, here's 10 compelling cases of children who claimed reincarnation. A very interesting experience to see, and I've read so many different takes on this. So many different people have experienced. I do think, again, it's a much larger percentage of the population than most would imagine do have memories of past lives, do remember certain things. And often it can be why you currently have phobias in this life. If you are afraid of heights, you're afraid of water, if you're, whatever it is, closed in spaces, there's a good chance that there's something in that last life that is still with you in this life.
Oh, and this can carry on and on and on through different worlds. Spiders. Why are some people so afraid of spiders? And I would say the majority of people are very afraid of spiders. And in this case, there was a time where we were up against spider beings. And yes, they did serious damage. And that's why people have like this almost a knee-jerk reaction to spiders. Some people might be from that spider lineage and they see spiders as awesome and amazing, and I'm a little in between. I'm like, keep your distance, you're kind of cool looking, but stay over there.
Yeah, absolutely. So instead of making this completely about cases of reincarnation, I just wanted to bring up a few examples, because what the guides were talking about is that right now it's time to recognize the bigger picture. What's the bigger picture? Well, I'm going to let Cindy share most of it with you guys. The way they put it is that when we're here in the 3D, it's like we are on a bike with training wheels, or we still have, a little extra help, so to speak. We're here to learn. Again, this is a learning ground. This is where we come. This is school. This is school. And what we do and experience here, it gets built upon. Life after life, one life builds on top of the other. The key is, how do we react to things? And how do we gather ourselves and keep control over our emotions so that we are cultivating the emotions that we want to cultivate, because that is going to impact us in the next life.
Right. They did want to reiterate that we're in a training ground right now. And while we are in this body exploring this world, we need to explore our senses, get really good at understanding your senses. And it's also very important to be able to control our emotions, because that is where we are creating a different world from this place. So the more we can control our mind and our emotions, the better we are able to have different exploration experiences. And one life molds on top of the next. And just as important as it is to prepare for this moment, for the next moment, and prepare today for tomorrow, we have to keep in mind that we are preparing ourselves in this life for the next life. So everything we do is built on our 3D platform right here, right now. And the importance of this experience really should not be underestimated. They did want me to express that. And then your emotions are carriers of life. They pave the way to different worlds. So depending on where we're at emotionally, frequency-wise, this is going to be the deciding factor to where we can go, where we can visit, to different worlds, different platforms, different places. And then emotions, they want us to understand that emotions are portals to other dimensions. Going back to the importance of being able to control the mind. And that's why we're always talking about that mind, body, breath experience, because then you get the full nature of the experience in this 3D world. You're here in the 3D body. Plus, you can go so many different places and have so many different aspects of life that you can go to, and that can come to you too. So there's a lot to be done here. Purging. I want to talk about purging some, because this plays into it too. What I've seen with other people, and I think this is our soul stream. So if you're part of Hearts OMMM and you listen to us, I feel very strongly we are all in this same soul stream together. So this is like a collective conscious type of energy that I'm seeing. And a lot of people right now are experiencing things in their life that are bringing back memories, traumatic memories, things that did not go well in our lives, and they're being processed right now. And in some cases, you're able to understand that from a higher standard or a higher perspective, and you can put it in its designated box wherever it needs to go. You can put it to rest. Maybe it's not quite completely done yet. You might have to deal with it later, but we're all dealing with stuff from that higher perspective where we're at now than we were from that time that thing happened. And it may be several different things that are coming up, and they might come up in various different ways. They might come up through dreams. They might come up through memories. They might come up through conversation. Might come up through people coming to see you, old people that you knew coming through the internet, showing themselves saying, hey, I'm here. Hey, let's hook up for coffee, or let's text or something. And then you have to decide from that point that you're at now, that platform that you're at now, is that something that you want to go back to visit? Is that going to serve you right here, right now? And only you can decide that. You have to sit with it. You have to be okay with it, because this is your journey. And no one person's journey is better than the next. It doesn't matter where you're at on the spectrum. Your spiritual journey is just as important as anyone else's. I can see someone who maybe they're an atheist. Well, that journey is just as important. It should be treated just as important to anyone as my journey is into spirituality. They have equal playing ground. They're just very different. And that person needs to explore this for their own personal growth. And that's just what they need to do. It's just none of my business, really. I might get curious about it and wonder, well, where are they at? And just kind of hear what they have to say, because I do like to observe people, and I like to see where they're at, what they're doing, and why. I like to understand that. That's just my thing. But no one person's journey is more important than the other, no matter where they're at.
Yeah, one of the things, again, I would really stress as far as could be very, very helpful is a dream journal. And, maybe just if you are already journaling, just add the dream section to it. And also, when you are meditating, make note of things that come to you if you are not doing it already, because everything is intertied, entwined. And a lot of times our dreams really are processing things of the past and working through things. And so much of what happens in the afterlife, as soon as we do leave the body, once we understand, oh, okay, I know what happened now. You go to a point of review, and you really, really, you do an introspection, and you kind of figure out, well, what do I want to do? What do I still? Is there anything I want to go immediately repeat? Is there something that really hits me? Like, gosh, I really wish I didn't go down that route. You can even experience alternative realities without being going through the process of birth and being born anew. You can create your own rooms and worlds and places to explore in the between lives. And that is, again, what happens a lot. And, a lot of times I'll say to Cindy, okay, well, what's this person doing now? And what's that person doing now? And she could connect and she could see. And like when my mom was early on and passed, she was just still kind of doing what felt comfortable to her. So, it might not have been a solid kitchen table that she was sitting at, like the one that was there, and reading her stack of newspapers, because she would just go through and read her stack of newspapers or do her crosswords and her jumbles. She was doing that a lot in the afterlife just because it was comforting to her, and it gave her time to just kind of chill and introspect. And, it took 2 full years before she kind of changed her mind, decided to ascend instead of to come back down and do it all over again. And then, I could share, again, I have grandfathers that passed on like almost 70 years ago, and they're not reincarnated yet. They're not, they're actually, I think they're waiting for me so we could do something as a group again and set up, a whole new series of adventures per se. This is totally an individual decision. It's also a soul group decision. A lot of times groups will plan out multiple lives and work together throughout multiple lives. We have one of our dearest friends in this life that sometimes will come along on the journey with us, and other times, she will do her own unique thing. But she has had many lives with Cindy and myself in the manner of what we're doing right now, which is just trying to reach and help as many people as we can in whatever way we can.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I think a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff right now, and they're being visited by old haunts, things that might not feel very good. And I really encourage you to move into that, because if it's something that hurts you, understand that pain is our greatest teacher. And if it's something from your past that's coming back up, I would urge you to push into that and look at it and see if that's something that you can put to rest from your new perspective, because we have spent an awful long time on growing and developing our soul and our spirit. So from the time that that thing or those things happened to now, we are at a different level. We are at a higher perspective. That doesn't mean that that thing gets washed away, but we might have thought, well, I thought I dealt with that and I thought I put it to sleep. But if it's coming back to you and you're looking at it from another perspective, then that has something to teach you in your life. There's a lesson there, and it's an important lesson. And it goes back to that old saying that even bothers me sometimes. It's like that thing that's happening is not happening to you. It's happening for you. And it's so true, though. It's so, so true. Because if you go back and look at different life lessons, you can see how that shift of perspective helped you in some way, shape, or form, help someone else in another way, shape, or form. And I think that's what we're here to do. We're here to help one another, but we have to address our own demons, so to speak, first, because once we do that, then we're in a better position to say, hey, and see if that thing you went through can help someone else if they're going through the same thing. So, and then with that, we just sort of kind of build up using each other. We build up from each other instead of knocking each other down because there might be jealousy or things of that nature. We help build one another up. And this is how we move up with our collective consciousness.
Absolutely. Each life, again, building upon the other. And, time after time in the old Hindu books, you will find stories of one incarnation achieving amazing things and literally lifting a soul up to a very, very high degree. And so every single day is just a new opportunity for us to soar and excel and to set ourselves up for even greater adventures the next time around.
So it's really, really nice to have training wheels. It gives you that solidity in life, and we appreciate them while we have them. But if your training wheels have been taken from you, then it's time to explore where you're at a little bit and see if you can't go on a little bit further, move up to a new position that's more appropriate for where you're at in your spiritual journey.
We hope you guys got something from this. Look forward to your comments, and please do feel free to share. Much love as always, and much gratitude for you being with us on this fun ride. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.